So today I'm going to attempt to reassemble the window on my 1946 Chevrolet heavy-duty truck. Disassembling this thing was an absolute nightmare. These rods are embedded in the window frame. They were completely rusty. Screw heads broke off. Had to drill them out, drill the heads out. Chevs of the 40 has replacements, nice. Although it's a little odd, they put a little cut right at the bend at the highest source of strength there. So I might touch that with a welder and dress it up. Anyway, I ended up having to heat these to red hot. A lot of smoke as all the gaskets burned out and stuff. Was able to get one window out successfully without breaking it. The other one was in bad shape and it broke anyway. So I've got new glass. The centerpiece on my truck was painted, so I repainted that and put a new rubber in there. That's not perfect. This is not a resto or show truck. So the strip in there. I did, for the finish, I had my local paint shop mix up a custom can of paint. I think the color's a little too bright, but it'll keep it from rusting, and that's good. And then this system, this Spray Max system, has a 2K clear gloss. You push on that thing and it mixes the two components. So it does give a nice finish. I'm no pro painter. I got some extra running on there. All I really care about this is to make sure it doesn't rust, and if somebody ever wants to in the far future disassemble this, at least the metal will be there. So we'll see how those goes. Here's the old glass. I did crack one taking it out. They weren't cracked, but if you look at this piece of glass, it had long since had problems with bubbling coming between the layers. I was quite surprised. This is 3-layer safety glass, so I don't know if the 46 actually had 3-layer safety glass in it or if somebody's already replaced that. But anyway, those are coming out. We've got new ones from Chevs of the 40. So there's the new glass. Hopefully there's no drama with sizing or anything on it. It actually comes from a place I think called Vintage Auto Glass. So Chevs of the 40 orders it and drop ships it, but maybe Chevs of the 40 owns the template or something. And Chevs of the 40 had new rubber to replace this strip of some kind of fabric or cork or something that's on the inside of the window with rubber. And as I already mentioned, they have this rubber here. This rubber is interesting. It has a metal strip embedded in it that has threaded holes. Let me show you the old one. So this is the strip that I cut out of the old one. That's the side of the rubber that goes up in the metal, in the trim metal, which on mine is painted. On other ones it's chromed or stainless. And anyway, it has these threaded things that are embedded in the rubber. I had to cut them all out to get this out of here and try to save my metal, which more or less I did. And Chevs of the 40s also supplied this gasket to go between the window and the frame. We'll see how that works out. And unfortunately, my old window thing, the threads are stripped out on this worm gear. So for only like $500, you can get this repop, which hopefully it'll last. It looks like on this repop, the gears are actually steel rather than the die-cast light metal, so maybe they will hold up. Also have an assortment of screws and knobs and crap from Chevs of the 40 to try to put everything back together. So here's the actual vehicle, 1946 Chevrolet, pretty much all original. Got a 6-volt to 12-volt converter running, a tachometer, and a 6-volt low-pressure electric fuel pump. As I mentioned, I'm not trying to do a resto on this. It's my work truck, just trying to get it going. But this rust that was in here, I just couldn't deal with that. So I wire brushed this, cleaned it with Smacestone, and used some off-the-shelf like Ace primer and spray paint. This is Hunter Green spray paint. Probably not that bad of a match, actually. again, not restoring, just trying to get it to not leak into the cab and rust more. Somebody in the far past had some stuff mounted to the roof here. This one seems to still be sealed up. This was just an open hole. I used some seam sealer and shot that with some of that hunter green paint. So there's the hinges. So we'll try to get that window assembled. I think that's the big trouble. I just wanted to give an idea of what the truck looked like. So I put a drop of weld with a MIG on those gaps. Damn near missed that one. Oh well. Better than nothing, I think. That'll add some strength to the most critical part of the this frame there. So comparing the new inserts from Chevs of the 40s with the old ones taken out, you know, it's a pretty close match, but something interesting. If I line up the old ones, pinching them together there at my hand, you know, they're more or less straight considering the force I needed to use to get them out of there in the heat. But when I look at the new ones, there's one of them appears to have a fairly good bend in it. If they both did, no worries, but now I don't know. Does that bend go in the top or the bottom? Is that a manufacturing error? I mean, these parts are built nice. You could see tooling marks on them, so they've like maybe even made the metal flat in a mill. But also, their aim with the holes wasn't perfect. And here you can see the threads have actually cut through the side of the piece because the hole isn't centered very well. So props to Chevs of the 40 for sourcing a part for an 80-year-old vehicle. But I'm not so excited about, okay, well, here you can see that cut that they made to relieve for bending it. And then I welded it closed and sanded off my horrible welds. Anyway, so that's a bit of a mystery. I don't know if I should straighten that one. I guess I'll put it together and see how everything looks. Maybe it's flexible enough. It just will, whatever that is, will just take. Well, the mystery continues. I got this setting tape for the windshield from Chevs of the 40. 4 strips. Looks like 2 strips is long enough. 3 of the strips have almost like a fabric on them. The 4th one doesn't. It's really odd. I assume the fabric is to make the rubber slip more easily into the frame. So let's grab a piece of glass and see if we can fit it together. So I just did a really short test fit with the old glass, and it didn't take a huge amount of effort to push that in, so maybe this will not be horrible. So comparing the old glass to the new glass, using the flat edge in the center as a reference, there's quite a bit there, more than 1/8 of an inch. This corner, you can see the new glass is a little bigger. Down here, again, geez. Down here, again, about 1/8 of an inch. The big question, of course, is the glass that came out of the truck is this stuff on the top, and the new glass is the bottom. And I don't know about in 1945 if they had laminated safety glass, and this is laminated safety glass. So maybe the new glass is a better fit for the truck than the old glass. Just for reference, this is the sticker that was on the replacement glass, and this is the silk screening that's on the glass. So I've tried taping that weather stripping onto the glass. I don't really like this because even if it does work, it's going to leave fragments of blue tape in the channel. But you got to start someplace, and this is my first try, so we'll see what happens. So I tried just pushing this down the frame, and I can move it some, but there's a lot of friction. So I'm going to try to lube everything up with some soap spray and see if that'll reduce the friction and allow it to go in. So using the clamps, initially this looks like it's okay. It's set down in the gap here all right. But then I realized that this edge of this glass actually needs to be recessed in. And looking down here, I can see the edge of the glass looking through the glass. So I don't think it's set in here. So I got to undo these side clamps to release the pressure and try to get it seated in harder along the length. Okay, so I released the side tension clamps, pried this out a little bit here, and then these are super tight, but I think it's finally pulled it home here. If you look, there's the slightest offset between the edge of the glass and the edge of the frame on both sides here. So now what I'm going to do is just squeeze in these, and hopefully that'll do its thing. Okay, I think it's all seated in, and it occurred to me that there's no mechanism that pulls this edge to that edge. There's the bar that goes across that, you know, keeps the two windows aligned, and there's this little trim strip, but this trim strip doesn't have any mechanical connection. So I am really not sure, if I let all the tension off, what's going to keep these two ends from springing out. Okay, so at this point, these metal pieces did not seem to spring away from the window. That's good. And I do think it is seated in all the way around and not moving. So I will try doing the other window, and hopefully I don't break any glass. So my idea will be to come along here with a razor and trim this excess glass, or this excess plastic and the tape, once everything's assembled, and we'll have to see how that goes. So this is my approach on the second window. I've got the sealing tape, the rubbery grippy side towards the glass. I've got it taped in with some masking tape. My plan is to get this wet with soap solution and have it slide in. This is just some soap solution. It's not actually power wash. So my thought is that maybe that first one I did, the soap could have dried out before I got it assembled. So I'm hoping to do this one a little more quickly without filming, and maybe it'll go together better. Okay, well, the second one seemed to go in with a lot less drama than the first. So I guess I'll unbuckle it, make sure everything stays in place. And if that's the case, I'll start with trimming this strap just at the end here and putting in the the bars, and then that center piece. Maybe in that order, maybe not. So the way these windows are designed, the top is kind of a convex curve the whole way. The bottom has a little bit of concave curve in it. And so I'm going to take that as a hint and put the one on the right here has a little bit of angle to it. I'm going to assume that angle is to make up for that convex curve. Don't know that for sure, but I have to put one of these on one side and one on the other side, so I'm going to go with that for this particular second. So when I removed the original spars from here, they were stuck in really bad. So what I've done is I've coated this with some aluminum anti-seize, and hopefully the next poor dumb person who tries to mess with this won't have all the trouble I had. Okay, I've got experimentally trimmed back this rubber on both sides there, and there's a little tongue of rubber here that goes under the metal here. I don't remember there being this gap here. Plus this gap is wider here than there. But anyway, I'll stick this piece in. And it seems to fit in there. Like up here, I can imagine this is the way it's supposed to be. But down here, I think I don't have these set in. Okay, so after using these straps to pull the frame together, that makes the piece of this trim line up here and line up here. I don't have it pressed down yet. So I think that's my plan. I'll pretty much leave this mechanically like it is now. Get this centerpiece in, goob up some seam sealer on these ends here. So I kind of have some seam sealer gooped on there, and I trimmed back the whatever that plastic is that's around the window. And now we can drop this centerpiece on there. Oh, I forgot the plastic. So now we can drop this plastic in there And, well, crap, it looks like that is extra long. I guess it needs to be trimmed. Okay, well, we can get the plastic lined up. I'll put a couple screws in there, trim it here and here. So I have the center strip put on there. Vertical dimensions I think are correct right now as they are. The center strip just butts up against the window frame on each side. I'm just going to carefully use a rag to get rid of all the black seam sealer that I can. Oh, wow. I just realized, hang on. So I was stressed that there was no mechanism for holding this thing together, but I just realized there's these clips that go on here. So when I'll remove those screws and put these clips on, and that ties the window together vertically. So all this stress I've been worrying about, that's what these clips do. So I've gone from feeling very cautious about this to feeling very confident about it. I put those little 3-hole tabs in the back, cleaned the excess seam sealer off here, and that trim is lining up nicely. Same trim here lines up nicely. I'm going to release these clamps, and hopefully those little triangle pieces will hold everything together. So there's the triangle pieces on there. Oops, got a little more seam sealer to clean up there. Got all the straps and tape and stuff off, and this window's looking good. I'm very, very pleased how this turned out. Start of this project, I was thinking to myself, you know, I ended up breaking the glass. It's going to end up leaking, who knows? But everything's come together very well. So almost at the point of taking it out and installing it in the truck. There's the inside of it, and just looks good. I just used a regular utility knife blade, held that vertically and went along the rail to trim off the excess material. Looking closely at the edge of that material, it's kind of a rubber, and it's got light particles in it, so I'm guessing it's a rubber and a cork mix. Interesting. So next up is to get the external weather strip installed to that, and we'll see how that goes. Well, just about the time I was feeling excited, I've got this rubber gasket going around the outside there. It's going in pretty well. Until I get to here, and the gasket makes a 360-degree twist in the middle of it. No idea how that can happen. All I can figure, it's got a splice right here. All I can figure is that it's some kind of a assembly error, that they had a twist in it when they spliced it. So I don't know if I'm going to cut it and jam the ends back together with some seam sealer, or write Chevs to the 40 or what, but we'll figure it out. Well, I decided to just cut that outer piece of weather strip and butt the ends together. Can't even really tell there's a seam there now. And the window's installed. Bit of a struggle getting the bolts in on the regulator. Sorry for the way the sun has ended up being right here right now. Anyway, I think it looks pretty decent.